Chapter 1. The bartender was cutting a cigar for me when my target stumbled toward the men's room downstairs. I had been paid to keep an eye on him all night, but I decided that didn't mean I had to visit the John. In my favorite black dress and new red wig, I wasn't dressed for urinals, so I watched the bartender light my Belvedere and pass it over. Most of the cigar bars in the city are nice, but Hamilton's outclasses them all with its crystal tumblers and soapstone whiskey rocks. Oak-paneled walls and chandelier lighting make it look like a king's hunting lodge, if all the king's men were Upper East Side trust and hedge funders. I took another sip of my Pinot Noir and checked myself in the mirror. The once-over had become a professional habit, an unnecessary one that I needed to break. My chameleon-like appearance was one reason I had excelled in the New York Police Department, and after my premature retirement at the ripe age of 25, it was the main reason I survived as a private investigator. When my undercover identity had been blown 3 years prior, the gang members had disagreed about everything from my height to my eye color. They all agreed that my hair was jet black, but a quick trip to Walgreens had turned it back to light brown, which I kept boy short in order to occasionally pass as a teenager named Keith. My parents, God rest their souls, knew what they were doing when they named me Kathleen, a.k.a. Katie, Kat, Kitty, Kathy, Kate, Katya. It was as if they knew their daughter would one day need multiple personas and the driver licenses to go with them. My real name is Kathleen Stone, but that night I was Kathy Seasons. I think of Kathy as a young-looking 35, which is the upper limit of my possible age range. She works in real estate and likes to have a drink or 7 before heading back to her high-rise apartment where she lives with a goldfish. I was sharing these made-up but well-rehearsed details with a gentleman to my right while listening intently to the front door, making sure no one came in or went out without my knowledge. It wasn't too hard since Hamilton's was quiet on a Tuesday night. There were only 6 customers in the front room, a handful of others in the back. When my target, Stephen Kramer, hadn't returned by the time my bar neighbor finished his divorce story, I started to worry and excuse myself to visit the little girl's room. I extinguished my cigar in the spotless ashtray that had magically appeared in front of me and headed down the stairs. I don't normally wish for men to be relieving their bowels, but it was an unusual night. I was crossing my fingers for bad Chinese food because Mr. Kramer's suspicious wife was not someone I wanted to irritate. Partly I wanted to keep her in a good mood because I had already spent the deposit and needed the remaining fee for rent. Partly she frightened me. I worked up a giggle and stumbled my way into the men's room, silently praying for stall doors. In the end, it didn't matter. Mr. Kramer had presumably locked the stall behind him, but someone hadn't been very impressed with that level of security. The door was wide open, and Mr. Kramer was face down beside the toilet, pants around his ankles, and blood was seeping from his skull onto the tiles. Squares of toilet paper floated in the puddle like they were trying to staunch the world's largest shaving nick. I didn't flinch, which made me perversely proud. The first time I saw someone shot, I had vomited onto the shoes of the killer and got knocked around for being a pussy. This time, I steeled myself and examined the scene in relative calm. There appeared to be only one bullet hole and no signs of struggle. The bathroom didn't have any windows, which left a whole bar of patrons and employees as suspects. I would probably be on that list if anyone saw me and knew of my association with Mrs. Kramer. There wasn't a good enough wig in the world to keep me from questioning. I retreated up the stairs as quickly as possible and paid my tab. My newly divorced friend wanted to buy me another glass of wine, but I told him I needed a rain check and exited in the direction of the nearest payphone to call in an anonymous tip. I ducked into an alley to unpin the wig and slip out of my heels. I threw these accessories into my briefcase and extracted a pair of jeans and sneakers. I wiggled into them and pulled the dress over the top of my head, revealing a Yankees tank top. Instant cat. Whenever possible, I avoid quick changes, but I needed to get some more information and didn't want to be detained. Without a doubt, everyone at the bar would be detained when the police arrived. The problem with the quick change is what to do with the evidence. More to the point, I didn't want to throw away my pretty new wig or my favorite dress, but knew there was no alternative. I walked around to the back of an apartment building, found the trash cans, located the inevitable busted bag, and buried my briefcase in discarded cans, cat food, and dinner scraps. All I had on me now was a Metro card.